Can everybody hear me first?
I can.
All right, because I know I was mumbled last time. So,
It was only sometimes. It was kind of like how you would sometimes say that I would freeze or do stuff weird. It was only every once in a while it sounded like your microphone was like across the room.
maybe I threw
Maybe you did. You punted that some bitch
it.
like a guy I saw last night.
Right? Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of the Cho Thoughts podcast. I, of course, am the Big Cho. Big E is with me because last night was Big E's Big Night AHT.
Fucking right it was, bro.
For those that don't know and people that follow our show, Big E is a big Pat McAfee fan. I'm a McAfee fan, but if you don't follow wrestling and you don't know who Pat McAfee is, you must be sleeping under a fucking rock. If you don't watch College Game Day, like just the accolades and the shit that this dude has done, you should know who the fuck Pat McAfee is. And if you don't, well, you missed out on a fucking incredible fucking show last night, live in Pittsburgh in the PPG Paints Arena, and Eric was part of it along with his wife Donna, of course our buddy Mike. But take it away, bro.
So this I told you from the very beginning, like as soon as he announced he was doing this show, and you know what, it was said a couple times during the show, and then it was also said. So while he was in town, he recorded an episode of Roethlisberger's podcast, Footballin'. He recorded an episode which I watched today because they released it yesterday. I was a little busy, so I watched it today, and even they said it. Again, it's been mentioned a few times. He sold out PPG Paints Arena. Now, not sold out like hockey. Obviously, when concerts and that sell out, it's not the full arena. But for what a show like that could sell, he sold out.
Correct.
Um, without knowing what we were going to fucking see, and I told people that like I'm going because everything that man does is entertaining. It started off with him, like you said, quick backs. Like he started off just having a podcast show, kind of like this, but like just him and his boys talking sports, whatever. Then it turned into like a huge YouTube show. And now he's on ESPN. Like you said, he works for the WWE doing commentary and wrestling, works for College Game Day. Everything he does is electrifying. Like that's just him, that's his personality. He's just it's just entertaining. And you know how we are. I can't say just me. You do it. You're in this too. Like we like supporting local guys, local people that become, celebrities or famous or, doing something big, music artists and, whatever it might be. You always try to support the local guy.
Absolutely, 100%.
So I've just always been a supporter of his because he's a local guy and he is just entertaining. So we didn't know he wouldn't announce really anything. It was just McAfee's Big Night AHT with friends. And he kept hinting like there'll be sing-alongs and laughs. So you had this feel of, okay, like I did, this is going to be some kind of like a variety show.
Right.
Because sometimes that's the way his ESPN show is. It's like a variety show.
Yeah.
So I bought tickets. Like I was in the Ticketmaster online waiting thing the day the tickets went on sale. I bought tickets. It was a fight because they sold out quick, but I bought tickets right away. And again, not knowing what I was going to see, I just knew I wanted to go see Pat live. I just knew I wanted. I just knew I had to. And let me tell you, I mean, you got to. He ended up streaming it on YouTube and stuff, so you got to see it. But I think it's one of those events where I can safely say, like, I mean, I'm gonna rewatch it myself just because I want to. But I don't think what you guys watched at home was anywhere near the experience that we had in that arena. Like,
Oh, I hands down imagine it because, like, just from like Brandy and I watching it, and then we were
mhm,
texting each other as the show was going on, and of course we'll get into the, like, in the meat and potatoes of the show,
yeah,
but like as we were watching it, we were more thrilled that you were there because, like, just us, because again, we're like you know what I mean? Of course, me, I'm a Pat Mac fan, but like obviously you're a huge fan.
yeah,
Like, I kind of did that too. I went into that aspect like, what the fuck is going to happen with this show?
yeah,
So as it started progressing and the layers to this just kept fucking going, we just kept texting each other like, dude, I fucking hope blah 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 happens to them. I hope,
yeah.
all this shit. And I was like, yeah. And then, like, bang, like the first fucking couple things happened, and I was like, I wasn't jealous. I was happy for you. Like, I was
I
genuinely fucking happy for you.
no, you know what? I was the opposite. Like, so I mean, I mean, he said it um on the Ben podcast. Like, he was hoping the part of his goal was for people the next day to be waking up going, wow, what just happened? Like one of those, almost like kind of like when we were younger and you have one of those you're at a party or you're out all night and you wake up the next day like, what, that was epic, and I don't even remember half of it. You know what I mean? Like not that he wanted everybody to get like passed out drunk or anything, but just the experience was so ridiculous that you can't believe it happened. And that's the way it felt like. So let's we can dive into what happened. So the show starts, and well, let's start at the very beginning. We get there, and Mike, met us there. So we meet up with Mike at the lower entrance of PPG on Fifth Ave. And there's a little bit of a line, and I'm like, all right, well, we're in line. He goes, no, I'm already in line. He's closer up. He goes, come up here with me. So we walk up there with him. I mean, I had the tickets anyway, so he couldn't get in without us.
That's
So
facts.
I'm like, all right, well, let's go closer instead of him coming back here. So we go up there. People were cool. They didn't like. He was like, he kind of, I guess, forewarned them, like, hey, I have two friends coming. Like, they're not jipping. They're with me. You know what I mean? Like, so, and there was some people he were standing with were his work friends, so they were cool.
Kind of worked
But
out.
anyways, yeah, it worked out. So the notices said doors open at 6. Parking lots opened at 4:30. Doors open at 6:30. Show starts at 8. It's 7:15, and the doors still weren't open. We're like, what the fuck? The
Hold on.
Yinzers were,
So what we're gonna do is, you're there, I'm
yeah,
watching it. Okay, so that's what we'll
yeah,
do, back and forth. So you text me that, and I already have like the show on in the
yeah,
background. I was folding laundry and shit, and then you text me, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? And then, like, they're not showing shit, like
yeah,
nothing yet. So I'm
yeah,
like, all right, not even the venue, empty seats. And I was like, man, wonder what the fuck is going on. And then probably about, give or take, maybe like 10, 15 minutes max, the show comes on the TV. And I was like, okay. And I'm watching the ticker because it's like ticking down for an hour. And then all of a sudden it was like, boom, new start time, 8:30. So I automatically was like, fuck. Like, okay.
yeah. So they finally opened the doors at like 7:30, and that was why there was an hour delay, because like now they needed to give that hour for, because now people are lined through town. Like, I mean, again, the amount of tickets he sold for this was just crazy. And when you say a number, you're like, oh, that's a lot of people. But to visibly see like swarms and swarms of people waiting to get in this building, it was ridiculous. So we finally get in.
What
We
was it?
get in.
Like 12,000?
Yeah, close to 13, I think you
Yeah.
said.
Okay, continue.
So, so we get in. First thing, I'm like, all right, let's see if he has any merch. You know what I mean? On selling. I told you, like, Maybe, me and my hat, got to grab a hat if they have a hat.
Right. I
Check
said
out
if they had the shirt, why not?
like a shirt or something, He had nothing, which, I mean, I get it. This is for now just a one-time deal. It's not like this is going to be a tour where, I guarantee you if he printed shit, it was going to sell. You know what I mean?
Hands down.
But he didn't, so it was all cool. Hey, whatever. So we get to our seats, we're chilling, and again, you're trying to now we're checking out the layout. You can see the stage and everything, and we're like, this is so more elaborate than I was expecting. Like so more elaborate. And I'm like, this is like full blown concert setup. Like Donna said, it reminded her of when we went and saw Justin Timberlake. Because the way he had the walkway with like the circle stage, which a lot of artists I think do.
Yeah.
Like a lot of artists do that nowadays, but like Justin was somebody that had that I can remember when we last went to a show. But anyways, so we're chilling and you're everybody around you is like, oh, what's gonna happen? Oh, everybody's on the Aaron Rodgers thing. Like,
yeah.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers is gonna come. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So like people have their guesses and thoughts, you know what I mean? You're like, okay.
I was doing the same thing. I was like, that motherfucker better not come out here.
Yeah, and it was
me,
like,
I like Aaron Rodgers, but I was like, do not fucking come out here.
Yeah, like it was just, so it was cool. I mean, nice crowd. Like everybody was cool around us. Like, you know what I mean? Like the other people, like, bullshitting with them or whatever. And then, that countdown hits and the show starts. And then obviously he comes up through the floor, the whole smoke and fog thing. And then he does his little monologue, which I knew he had said it a couple days ago on the Pat McAfee show, that he was like, yeah, he had this 20-minute monologue or so planned out. He was like, I have shit that I want to say, shit that I want to do that, normally not that he doesn't, like he speaks his mind when he feels he needs to, but like, he tries to keep out of trouble with like ESPN and WWE. Like, he's always getting in like legal trouble. So he was trying to avoid that, but this is his, like nobody could tell him what to do.
Right.
So he did it. So he did his little thing. And then, as you watched, like he starts talking about like the best sports songs, because he got on that thing about the whole national anthem. And then he gets on the whole like, what's the number one song played in sports? And I'm thinking he's leading to fucking Country Roads, because the way he started off with that, like talking about Penn State, and then that he did Sweet Caroline, and I'm like, this motherfucker's gonna start singing Country Roads in the middle of this fucking arena. And then he goes, no, and he starts humming the tune for Renegade. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know that. If that's true, that's pretty crazy. But to be honest, I get it. You know what I mean? Like,
correct.
And I don't know about you guys on watching it at home, but there, it sounded like he was singing it, and then the crowd started singing it.
It did. It really did. It sounded like he was.
And I'm like, okay. I was like, all right. So the crowd's singing along, and then I heard again the fact that played the drums. You know what I mean? Like, I heard that bass kick, the Renegade, the thump thump, and I'm like, that's a live fucking drum. That is not.
Yeah.
That's not arena DJ'd. Like that's a real fucking bass drum. And I'm like, okay, so we got a band somewhere.
Right.
And then that like wall thing lift. And as soon as the words started coming out of his mouth, I was like, that's fucking Jelly Roll. I was like, that's fucking Jelly Roll.
I was like, so the first like surprise is obviously his Jelly Roll. So Eric got a clip. So Eric has clips of the show I'm going to divulge on the show, and then we'll elaborate more into the story afterwards.
Yeah.
The fucking song's hard. I'm just
Bro,
saying.
so he did Renegade. I mean, again, you watched it, so you know. So he did Renegade, and I'm like, that was sweet.
But
So
we
then I
don't have
start.
a Renegade clip because
I was
my
singing along
wonderful
like a
best friend
motherfucker.
was singing over it.
You couldn't hear Jelly singing over it on my version. I was a little loud. Because at that point, like, so that curtain lifted and it's Jelly, and the whole fucking place went nuts. Like, and then for me, and I think I can speak for Donna too. Like we obviously we've never seen him live. He's kind of like on a bucket list. Like I wouldn't mind seeing Jelly Roll live. I just can't always afford Jelly Roll. Not that he's like expensive, but you know, concerts aren't cheap nowadays. So it's like, you know, I know he's coming around again. What this summer with Post, which I'm like, I can't afford. Like I'm not. Especially you know
I mean, I'd
the
love to go to that, but those tickets are just ridiculous.
yeah, I can't do that. So I'm like, one day, just like Justin Timberlake, like I always swore I wanted to see Justin live because I heard he puts on a great show, and I was like, one day it'll happen. It did. So I think at some point, one day, as long as Jelly keeps touring, I'll see him live one day.
Well, you
I did not
kind of
fucking think.
follow
I
that
didn't
last.
think it was gonna see last night. Like I'm like, this is my opportunity. Like this is when I get to. So I'm like, how many? Is he just here to sing Renegade? Like what is going on? And then he busted out into that one, and then he did Somebody Save Me,
Yep.
which I didn't get a clip of that one.
And then he did
Um,
his whole hip hop
and
medley.
and listen, I I didn't think about recording that until it was over because that I was so into.
Yeah, I was hyped.
and it was funny because part of Pat's monologue, you know, opening little skit, whatever you want to call it, like he talked about like you even text me like he brought up Jimmy D's, like he brought up like some of the old clubbing days,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, oh, so it was just kind of like this vibe, like I'm in this like memory moment, like this back thought, like thoughts of like back in the day. Yes, our Southside days are like our Station Square days or the H2O days, like all that type of shit was like in my memory. And then Jelly was like, let's play some fucking hits. And he's like playing the hip hop shit, like
Yeah.
Boys in the Hood. Like I was like, no way. Like he was playing bangers. And I'm like, what? I'm like, because I don't think a lot of people realize that Jelly Roll actually got started in hip hop, not country.
Yes.
So it's like, so if me knowing that, I was excited for that. Like, again, I'm assuming he might do that at his shows. What? No, never been there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So, that was like surprise one. And I'm like, okay, if this is what else is going to fucking happen? Like, this is how we're starting. And then, you know, there was a couple,
Dude,
other
he had
things.
that fucking crowd eating out of his hands when he did
Yeah.
that pop medley because like he was very diverse and all over the place. Like he did I'm Sorry Miss Jackson, he did
Yeah.
Bismarck, he even
Yeah.
did a cover, like I know he does a cover of Lose Yourself.
Yeah.
Um like
Which, at that point, I was like, wait a second, is them coming? Like what? Like,
bro,
you know,
I would have fucking hurt, I would have murdered you.
I'm like, there's no way. Like, I was like, wait a second, is them gonna come out? Like, because the way they led up to that song,
Yes.
like the rest of them were just like he blended so well one to the next, and then that song it started off with like a pause, like and
Yeah.
it was more because I think him and Pat were having like an interaction together at that time because Pat had walked back out on stage and was singing along with them. But I was like, no, like, is he gonna bring like? There was a weird pause, and I'm like, something might happen here, but it didn't. But I was like, because at that point now I don't know what to expect.
Correct. I don't
I'm
know
like,
what the fuck to
I
expect.
don't. no, and like I know him and Jelly are boys. Like I know he's been on his show, and he debuted his some music and his album on Pat's show. Like I know they're cool like that. But I just was like, okay, like this is what wow. So we get through Jelly Roll, and then him and Jelly give away some money. I'm like, okay, I see how this night's going.
Yeah.
And then I think after Jelly Roll was O's the Mentalist.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the low part of the entire show. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I have it written down over here.
Yeah, I think O's the Mentalist.
That whole thing was not worth my time. Like with him doing
it,
that.
it was cool. And yeah, I can't say I was like. I mean, I was intrigued because I like that kind of magic-y stuff. But like,
I do too, but then like there was a part of me that was like, there was certain aspects of it, like when he was like, "Yeah, I was talking to JJ Watt." I was like, "No, you're fucking sports, dude."
yeah,
Like, no,
yeah,
because you're in Pittsburgh.
yeah,
And what's funny, as soon as he said JJ, that crowd went nuts
yeah.
and was started screaming TJ, TJ, and started chanting TJ. And I was like, "You fucked up. You fucked up. Like, oh my god, you fucked
Well,
up."
no, because my thing is I was like, they were one of the people I thought could be special guests because I'm like, well, Teej is here. JJ's obviously really good friends with Pat. Like he's on his show all the time. I'm like, did he bring the Watt brothers? Like, are they going to be coming out? You know what I mean? So like, I wasn't sure. But so that was the Mentalist thing. It was interesting. It was cool. And then we had the sumo guys. I think was after that. No, wait, what did we have after that?
Yay.
Oh yeah, I didn't, and that was another one. So the O's the Mentalist, like when he started talking about, because Pat, if you know Pat, he always calls him the demon. Like so when he started talking about there's this alien, this demon, I was like, oh, O's the Mentalist is here. Like I kind of put two
Yeah.
and two together, and I knew. And then he fucking brings out Jay, and I'm like, what I
Well,
okay,
the setup was
like,
great. He was like, when he was saying like, "Yeah, can't do nothing unless something wrong with some yeet," and he was like, "I'm yeeting all over the place." And then he was like, "Well, who better than to yeet with?" And then all of a sudden it was like, boom! I heard it and I was like, "Motherfucker!" I
and
was like,
then we
"Son
start
of a
looking
bitch!"
around, and then here's the thing, because like so Jelly Roll came out from behind the big wall. O's the Mentalist came out through the floor. Everybody's staring and look like stage, like whoa, 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 like the music hit. I'm like, no,
Where is he coming
where
from?
is he coming from? And then we saw him. He came from our right
Yeah,
down. So I'm like, there he is. Because then they hit him with the spotlight, and I'm like, there he is. So we're yeeting all over. It's just Yeet City,
yeeting.
and that was cool. I wasn't sure what they were going to do with him. He was just down there to promote WrestleMania,
Yeah,
and then they
and
gave away some more money.
yeah, and then they gave away some more money. But he's like, "What do you do while you're here?" And he's like, "Y'all got the good chicken wings."
Yeah,
Yeet. Y'all got some good food. Yeet.
yeah,
Y'all got great sports teams. Yeet. I was like,
yeah,
yeah, all right, like word. And then like I kind of saw like the next day, like in the comments, and they're like, people weren't even eating. It's not a whole WWE show, people. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So the wrestling fans, of course, are out there going to town, yeeting,
yeah.
and you get
I
somebody who
said
likes
that.
McAfee from college, like, what are you doing? Like,
I said that while we were there. I was like, you can tell who the wrestling fans are and who aren't, because there was especially old dudes that not I say old dudes, but there was older guys there or couples even that yeah they know him probably from ESPN. They know him from College Game Day or the sports world. They don't know shit about the wrestling world, and they're
no,
just there again because they're fans of his, which I get, but they had no clue what was going on in that moment.
no,
They're all
no.
looking like why are these people standing up and shaking their arms and hands every like
And why are they waving them up and down? Like, why are they so hyped? It's not even music
what
playing.
Uso main event?
Why are you yeeting?
Yeah, so that was interesting. It was an interaction that it was interesting to be involved in. So that was cool. And then
Then we're slapping fucking meat, bro.
oh yeah, then we had the sumos, which listen, let me tell you something. I once Jelly hit, I told you I had no fucking idea what to expect. I was not expecting to see. I mean, listen, watching it on TV and experiencing that shit live was I have to assume two completely different worlds. Those are some large ass motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like that one dude, the purple guy.
Oh
I was
yeah.
on Team Red. I was Ichi. I was Team Red. But whatever purple guy, I know it
Was it
started with an M.
Hiroshi?
Morochi or Morocchio or whatever.
I think it was Hiroshi.
That motherfucker's like almost 600 pounds.
Dude, let's just for the people that haven't, the setup to this fucking out of this world. First, you have a narration by Triple H of all fucking people. And I was like, all right. And then again, you're there, we're watching it, and I'm going, "Uh, are those fucking sumo wrestlers?" I
Yeah.
was like, wait, if this shit couldn't get any more like wild sumo wrestling in Pittsburgh, I've never thought, and I fucking ever thought in my fucking years of life I'd ever see sumo wrestling in Pittsburgh. And I was
No.
like, okay, all right. And then we have we have an announced team,
The toxic table.
the
For those of you that
toxic
don't know,
table.
again, the Pat McAfee show, he has his two buddies. They call him the toxic table. Ty Schmidt and uh, Boston Connor, who are the two most hilarious guys. They're doing commentary with Michael Cole,
With Michael
who
Cole from the
was
WWE fucking E.
wasted.
Dude,
Wasted.
I text Brandy and was like, trashed. Like just
Like,
trashed. Who comes out and splat, like, first of all, he's fucking dancing and shit and fucking feeling himself, holding an open bottle of Jack Daniels. And as he's talking, I'm like, bro, don't spill that fucking
did
Jack.
they catch him? I don't know if you got if there was footage of this, like if they how it was looking on the TV. He stumbled coming up off onto the like when so he came up from like the backdrop area
Yes.
and
Because
then
the
he
smoke
walked
was
and he
coming
had to
up and
like
I was like, where is he?
and then he almost fell face planted down and I'm like oh man like you know they McAfee has said like that Cole can put him away like he's
I
not like he
yeah.
knows to have a good time when he wants to have a good time and I'm like and then he was in that fucking literally like a penguin suit like
Yes.
a fucking tuxedo.
Talking about he was drinking Iron Cities, but icy lights, but not mangoes. And he was at the Pirate game, and then they came to the Penguin game and drank more beer. And then he just wanted to do a shot with somebody because he wanted to feel like a rock star. And as he's like Pat's drinking it out of the bottle, I'm like, Michael, you probably shouldn't drink anymore. Like,
No, he goes, yeah, I'm becoming a hockey fan. I met that Sidney Crosby guy. He's pretty good. Oh, and I called Iceberg a jagoff. I was like, what is happening?
dude, I can't tell you how many times I said, what is happening? Like during
Uh,
this fucking entire thing.
and it was just it was so. And then yeah, so then they bring out these sumo guys, and let me tell you, Pat wasn't kidding. He was like, I got to make it entertaining because he knew that there was going to be motherfuckers that could have cared less about sumo wrestling.
Correct.
But when he split that arena in half and said, the winning side, someone on the winning side of that sumo wrestler is going to win a quarter of
Quarter of
$1,000,000.
$1 million.
Yeah, we was interested as a
Fuck
motherfucker.
yeah. Fuck. Dude, I knew where, because at this time that's where you told me where you were and whatnot,
Yeah.
and all I kept going was going, well, he on the red side, and then I was like, all right, and then all of
Mhm.
a sudden I'm watching it going, you better get this big motherfucker out of there. Like I'm
Well, I had a
sitting there
feeling it was going to come when they said it was a best of three. I had a feeling, but then we didn't even get to the rest. So they got Michael Cole in the toxic table doing announcing. He goes, oh, and then they had Alicia Taylor from WWE, the ring announcer.
yep.
That was crazy to see her. Um, and then fucking Shane Gillis is the fucking special guest referee.
I just want to put it on Shane Gillis right now on record. That was the funniest part of the entire fucking night for me.
Dude, he was
Only
so good.
because he couldn't interpret nothing. He couldn't hear nothing. Oh my god! And he was just kept like, "Fuck, the fuck you want me to fucking do?"
like he was like, well, you're supposed to be out there in the ring, like dancing with them and refereeing, and he was like, and have one of them fucking fall on me.
Right? And
Like
have
he
one
goes,
of them
Pat,
fucking hit me.
there's no edge to this ring. They could have fell out. It could have been a
Right?
hazard.
It just literally fell off.
Yeah. So like, yeah, that was comedic. And again, you could tell like there was a lot of people that had no idea who he was.
Right? Brandy didn't have a clue who he was.
Um, I just always refer to him as Bert Kreischer's boy because that's where, like, I mean, I obviously he's been a stand-up comic, but I think he's gotten the popularity that he has because he was on tour with Bert for
Yeah.
a while. Like, was that a year ago or whatever? So obviously, if you're on tour with Bert, you're gonna get noticed.
His stand up's nice. Plus, Tires is actually a really cool show.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm all for Shane Gillis. So yeah, that was cool. To be honest, I thought because when he was like, I think we need a special guest referee. To be honest, I looked at Mike and I was like, it's going to be fucking Bert. Just because Bert's going to come out. You got sumo
It,
wrestlers. Bert's going to come out, take his top off, and be in the middle of that ring,
right.
like with the sumos. So I'm like, oh, so I was close, but it was
Right.
Shane. So that was entertaining. Red team won. Ichi won.
But dude, the whole thing with Gillis was like the interpreter's like, stand over here. He's like, the fuck you want me to do? Like I'm trying, and then he's like doing this, and then like they weren't setting, they were trying to intimidate each other, the wrestlers, the sumo wrestlers. Like
Yeah,
you
that part
can
was a little
hear
boring.
like the toxic table and Michael Cole talking shit on Shane Gillis, and he's like, "What the fuck do you want me to do?" Like he
See,
started
it
to
was
get like
hard.
aggravated.
I'll admit it was kind of hard to hear what was going on between Shane and the boys. Like it was just so loud in there that like us there live, it was hard to hear the live announce the what they were doing.
Right.
So that's why I'm intrigued to rewatch it to hopefully have to hear that part better. Like we knew what was going on, but not
So
perfect.
as they're yelling at him, like, of course, Cole is fucking
Yeah,
hammered, but he's like, "Come on, Shane, like, get it together in there." And Shane's like, "What the fuck you want me to do?" And then he's
yeah,
like, so they're going to get set, so he's holding that like
paddle thing.
paddle thing, and he's holding it to the side, and the interpreter or in the front of him. Then the interpreter's like, "No, you got to hold it to the side," and he kept fucking it up like
Yeah,
religiously, and then he's looking at the interpreter and he's saying like, well, what do I say to commence this fight? And he's rambling something to him, and he is fucking destroying this Japanese dude. It's just not working. And
no,
then all of a sudden he'll be like, who are you doing? I'll be like, dude, what is he saying? So
yeah,
all like they after they mushed together the first time or whatever, like it was kind of the same pattern. And he's like, I really can't fucking hear. Like he
yeah.
cannot hear. So by the time it was over, like I don't know if he was frustrated, but he's like, the fuck you want me to do? Like he really was like, I mean, we're live. What the fuck you want me to do? This is
Yeah,
just
and he told Pat like so after it was all said and done, and him and Pat were standing there together. He was like, Pat was like, "Well, when I pitched him this idea, he looked at me like I was crazy, and he goes, I told you this shit wasn't gonna work.' It was,
right. The best was so after Ichi won, the best was Shane Gillis because he looked at me. He's like, "Hey, hey, good job, fist bumping him." Then he's like, You want a beer? Like, you
Yeah,
want a beer? I was like, dude, my man is fucking thirsty. Like,
yeah.
he's so fucking thirsty. And then when they gave away that next set of prize money,
And so the whole thing is like, yeah, the winning side, that somebody on that guy's team got a chance to win $250,000. So the way he was giving away the money, was a not allowed to call it Plinko board. Um,
right?
so they
The
had like
the
a
Mick
Plink,
Moneymaker,
the Mick Moneymaker. So he had the like Plinko chip, and he would drop it down, and it would first pick a section. Then they would drop another chip, and it would pick a row in that section, and then lastly, it would drop and pick the seat. So there was 3 Plinko chips, and that's how they did it.
well, no, 4 because he would do the
Oh,
upper
4,
and
yeah,
lower.
it says upper or lower bowl. So
Yeah,
they
that's
did
how he would
it.
start it.
It was upper bowl, and we're like, oh, sweet, that's our side upper bowl. Then it lands in our section, 212. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you got to be kidding me. So our section's going nuts. Everybody's now standing up. We're like cheering, and you're trying to watch the board. And you see it go down, and they're picking the row. It's on the 3rd chip, which is picking the row.
Right.
And I noticed that every row was on there twice. So it was like, Plinko
Yeah.
board, it was like one towards the left and one on the right. So you kind of had a shot depending on which way the Plinko chip fell.
Right.
So it's going down, going down, going down. And I'm like, oh, fuck. It's going towards our row, which is L. I'm like, oh, no, what? It lands in the fucking slot next to L in row A. And I'm like, oh, like, so fucking close. Like, like you kind of play that game at like Kennywood or like like church fair festivals. They always have some version of that, and you're always like, you always get so close to the big prize. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this was so much more of a defeat just because of what was at stake. So, so we're like, all right. Well, so then at that point now, everybody sits down in our section except for row A, the front row. So then they drop the seat number. Ding, 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 ding. Just going down. Seat number 9. If that would have been our row L, if it would have landed just a half an inch the other way and went into row L instead of row A, Donna seat was seat 9 in our fucking row.
We'd be having a different kind of podcast. You'd be somewhere fucking crazy right now.
I'd be in Cancun. I don't know where I'd be.
From somewhere, I'd be like, hey, how's that going? You'd be like, what, you ain't here? I'd be like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
So
This
here's
this is
what
the background.
we think happened. So what they once they knew what section, you could see like ushers and security type people would hang out, and then they waited to see who the winner was. They immediately pulled that person out, and I think they took them down to go. So they probably hung out backstage or whatever, and probably got to do a meet and greet. And then because they said like, we got to get your info. I mean, like that person just won $250,000.
That's true.
Like the first 2 winners were 100,000, which is still a lot of fucking money. So he gave away 100,000 2 times, and then the $250,000, and then at the end he gave away that $2 million.
Right.
Which was still like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I looked at Donna and Mike, and I'm like, you got to think about it. Like, again, we all came to this show not knowing what was going to happen or what was going on. He did mention there were going to be giveaways and somebody's life was going to be drastically changed financially. Like,
Right.
he wasn't secretive about that, but you still didn't know what was going to happen. And
Right.
I'm like, even for the couple in our section that won, because it was a couple.
Oh yeah, Shane Gillis made that known.
Well, here's the thing too, which I if I'm correct. So before the show started, when we were all getting settled, I think it's the same couple that the wife, she tripped and fell going down because they were in row A, so they had to walk all the way down to the edge of the
Yeah.
balcony there. She tripped and fell. but she was okay. Again, like she maybe scraped her elbow or something dumb. They just bandaged her up, and she like I think everything was okay. So I think that they're the ones that won the $250,000, and I'm like, well, shit, I should have thrown myself down the stairs. Like,
Well, I mean, like, you know, she ain't feeling no pain once she fucking felt that $250,000.
no, and so you think about, like I said, 100,000 is a lot. 250 quarter mil, like that's a lot of money. But then that other guy won $2 million, and it's like, yeah, somebody's life just drastically changed. Like, people play the lottery or they do the scratch off tickets or whatever. You know what I mean? You take a chance and winning some money. People play the lottery for those big jackpots, the couple $1 billion, whatever's they are. But like, I even, like I said, we were close. I didn't go in there thinking I was walking out of there with money. I went in there for the show and to have a good time. But then I don't think it really hit me until it was close to us almost winning some of that fucking money. And I was like,
then it became reality. It was like, oh, wait a fucking minute.
So then I started thinking about how that guy felt that won the $2 million. Again, I think it was a couple, which did not go over well once they once the cameraman found them and put them up on, I guess the TV showed him, and then he was on the Jumbotron, and that motherfucker was decked out in Philadelphia Eagles gear.
Yeah.
They really got that guy out of there quick.
Yeah.
But like you could tell at one point, like he started to almost like cry, that guy. And I'm like, I probably would have felt the same way. Like he went in there, I assume, thinking like I probably did, like, yeah, we knew there was some giveaways or whatever was going to happen. But he was just probably going in there to enjoy the show, fan of Pat McAfee, just, wanting to spend the night with his girl, however they were together. And I'm assuming drove maybe from Philly, you know what I mean? Like, who knows if they came from Philly, like they're in Pittsburgh having a night. And they fucking won $2 million.
Right.
Like, that's crazy. Like, I don't know how I would have reacted. Like, I mean, I probably would have been emotional like that guy a little bit, but like, I mean, that's just, it's crazy. And then all the money that, he kept saying anytime he had a special guest come out, he would say like, oh, they didn't want pay. They just want me to make a donation to their charity.
Correct.
And I like how they were all like donations to local charities, give them back to Pittsburgh. So that was cool. So we get through the sumo shit, get through the $250,000 at this point, because now I'm like you said, like I'm on a different level, because I'm like, I almost just won some fucking money.
Well, I was like, I did want to touch on Shane Gillis after they won that $250,000. And he was like, yeah, can you imagine if this was like a fucking first date? He'd be like, fuck you, bitch. I'm in a different fucking tax bracket. You ain't got time for me. Fuck you.
Yeah, the whole interaction with him and Pat up on top of the Plinko board game was that was a moment. That was so good. He was singing the Steelers fight song. And he was like, you know what? He was like, fuck this shit. Go Birds.
Go Birds. And then the best is when he was like, all right, it's calm the fuck down. Like, it's all right. Like,
yeah. I shouldn't have said that. Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that. It's just calm the fuck down.
Yeah, like that was good. Like I said, it was just, you didn't know what to expect. You're just there, and I think that was part of because like when you go to a concert, let's just take Jelly Roll for instance. If you go to a Jelly Roll concert, you're gonna go hear hits. You're gonna hear some probably deep cuts. You know what I mean? Like you know what to expect when you go to a concert of any kind, whether it's a hip hop show, a rock show, country show, whatever. When you're going to see an artist that you like, you kind of know what to expect.
Right.
There's always going to be a few surprises, but you kind of know and that's why you're going, because you want to hear those. You want to hear that stuff. We didn't know what we were getting. You just literally sat there in the moment going, what now? You know what I mean? Especially after, at this point, we had a mini Jelly Roll concert. We had a magician blow people's mind. We had Jey Uso giving away money. And we had sumo wrestlers. What else could happen? Then
I don't know.
Then he says, well, we got to represent, there's no other person that I know that could represent this city any better. And then you get this. So I'm like, well, I should have put two and two together there because so the Penguin game the night before, Tuesday night, the Penguins played, and it was all over social media. Well, I was watching the game live, and then they also like Pat and them were posting stuff throughout the night that because they went to the Pirate game earlier that day, and then they went to the Penguin game. And I'm like, oh, cool! Like Pat and them are at the game, like enjoying, their night out before the show.
Yeah.
And then I had seen all over social media that Mikey and Bob were also at the game. Because if you've been to a Penguins game, they have like a live in arena DJ for like inning breaks and commercial breaks and stuff. And there's always just like a local, promoting somebody or whatever. Well, it was Bonix and Mikey and Bob from Kiss were at the game, and I'm like, holy hell! Like that's a hell of a yinsplosion, as a lot of people say. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, you got the Kiss FM crew, you got Pat and his crew. Like, what? Holy shit! Like, that's a night at a Pens game, and then they won 5-0. You know what I mean? Like, and then it hit me when Wiz came out. Oh, actually, Pat. I think Pat announced. Actually, he said, "Hit it, Bonix" or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's when again it clicked. I was like, Bonix. I should have known Bonix was in town. Wiz is like, I should have known Wiz. So then Wiz does his thing. He sings Black and Yellow, has a little back and forth with Pat, and talks about loves coming home to the city and this and that.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, and I brought you guys up a surprise." And then this happens.
Hold up.
No, dude, he hit it. He hit it. Hold up. I was like, so now again, I have had a Jelly Roll concert to start the night. I've had a Wiz Khalifa show, which I've never technically been to, but kind of witnessed. So that was still cool. And then I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And in that video, like I cut it at that point. That was actually where I cut my eye stop because I'm like, at this moment now, I don't want to be too involved in recording. Like I wanted to enjoy this fucking moment that Snoop is there and I'm singing along and everything. So I put my phone back in my pocket. But when he paused like that, I'm like, again, just like we talked about before, I was like, oh, okay. Like I thought when Jelly Roll did Lose Yourself, I was like, is there a chance M's coming out? And then when Snoop paused right there before he did the hold up, there was a good pause. I was like, is Dre fucking walking out? Like, what is gonna happen? Like, I'm like, oh my god, like, what are we gonna get a whole? Like, what is going on?
Right.
And then I thought maybe like Jelly would come back out and like they do a whole little thing, and I'm like, what? I don't. Again, I don't know what is going on. So then Snoop does his, he does that, and then he did another song, or he did.
He finished that song, and then
he brought out Ernst, didn't he?
He brought out Ernest.
Yeah, I didn't record that part.
Because they have a collab now together.
Yeah. So that was cool little moment there. And then they started about
smoking on some trees.
And I don't know how much the TV side got to see that tree started getting passed around through the crowd. Like it was getting handed off stage into the crowd.
So what Snoop did is pass it off to some dude.
Yeah, no, and then Wiz was passing it off, I think, because I think at that point, because I think I'm assuming what I was seeing on the Jumbotron is what you guys were seeing at home. But then again, I could see what was happening off different angles of the stage, like out of camera view. And Wiz was over on the other part of the stage passing out fucking joints. Like it was going around everywhere.
Dude.
So, and you could tell who was vaping or smoking. The section art, they didn't pass anything up our way.
I mean, that's a hell of a pass. You know what I mean? Like, hey,
Yeah,
hold
like
on, dude.
yeah, like so I was like, oh, somebody brought their own shit. Like it
Hey,
was
somebody took the fucking opportunity to capitalize on this fucking moment.
yeah, so that was crazy. So they were like, there's gotta be a better way we can get to every he goes, we can't pass yeah, that's what he said. He goes, we can't pass weed around to everybody in this place. It's too big. He goes, so how are we gonna do it? And then that led into the last little collab here. Bro,
Yeah.
that song, like again, like I'm gonna think my in arena experience was so different than you guys watching it at home because like even just that recording it, you could hear the crowd singing along word for word. Like I mean, there was at one point where they stopped and they were like just kind of acapella. They were like they like almost like told Bonix like, "Hey, cut the music," and the crowd just kept singing along like just word for word, like didn't miss a beat. And it was just again, it was just such a moment, and the way they all walked out like arm for arm with Pat, like with their hands on their shoulders, and just like three dudes just having a moment, and like it was just kind of like I'm here. Like I can't believe this is happening in front of me. Like I never thought that I never like Jelly Roll. I said, he's on my list. Maybe one day. Never in my mind thought that I would see fucking Snoop singing live. Like you know what I mean? Like
Dude, when he showed up, I was like, that's crazy. Like I was like, all right, now that this shit's legit. Like this shit is dope. Like it started
it
popping,
was
it's just going on and on and on. But for him to show up, I was like, how the fuck did they get Snoop Dogg? But I was like, I know
well,
he loves this city.
he loves the city. Wiz, him and Wiz are huge, like boys. And then Pat and Snoop intertwined through WWE, a little bit here and there, like especially last year. Was it no, not last year, the year before was WrestleMania.
Yep.
Like, so it's like I think Pat has, so I don't think he's like good friends with Snoop, but he has some connections there. That again, in this case, he's kind of like, hey, I need a favor, and obviously Wiz was like, yeah, I'll get him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, right. And not like a
so
Paul Heyman favor, an actual favor.
I mean, now he owes Seth a favor. That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. But like, so it's just like that. It was just nuts. Like I still like, watching. I'll go back, all day. I've caught myself like going back and watching some of those videos because it's still kind of like I guess you could say like a pinch me moment to where it's like, I can't believe that. Like that's crazy that all that stuff happened. I got to be there and experience it. Like I got to experience it with Donna. Like it was a nice big night
It was
out.
a
Like,
big night out.
and it was just like, just like I even posted on social media, like we have a busy week. Like, today we went and did Jane's pit orientation, which was again a whole nother story. So we were at pit all day today. I've been having back problems all week. Like, and that's what Mike and Donna both were like, "Are you gonna?" I'm like, "I'm not fucking missing it." It wasn't one of
I'm
those like. It
I'm
wasn't
thinking
one
I'm
of
gonna
those.
miss it.
It wasn't one of those things to where I was like, I spent money on these tickets. I could give two shits about the fucking money. Like
Yeah.
because again, it wasn't expensive. When he said I'm making it affordable, it was very affordable. But I just again like I just wasn't missing it. Like you said, like I'm a huge fan. Like I have a little thing under my name there, like just as a joke, like Pat McAfee expert. Like I'm not an expert, but it's like I follow this guy, everything he does, just because and it's not like I'm obsessed with him, but like like I said, he's very entertaining. But I'm also intrigued by his way of business. You know what I mean? Like the way he started his own brand and the way he just does him and the way he talks about it publicly, how he negotiates with these, heads of companies and stuff like that. And, things that he does, it's very intriguing, the life that he lives. And he's very open about most of his life. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't hide things. So it's almost like a reality story that you're hooked on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just a dude just doing his life, And again,
he wasn't even done. He wasn't
and
done after that either.
no, and he's from Pittsburgh, so it's like that's crazy. But anyway, so it's like it. So yeah, so then Snoop came out, and then that was great. And then, like you said, he brought out Ernest, and they did their thing, and they ended most. Oh no, they didn't end with that. That was like the last, I would say, big performance.
Yeah.
Because then he went and he had his emotional moment. You could tell the show was winding down, and he had his emotional moment. They went to the like suite with a camera and a light and everything, and we're showing AJ Hawk and Darius Butler and Tone. Him and Tone, like I'll admit, like him and Tone had a moment, and even I was like,
Yeah.
that's something right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that was very genuine.
because everybody, like we said, like the Toxic Table and AJ and Darius. Like, yeah, they're all his boys. That's his crew. That's the Pat McAfee crew. But like him and Nick, I don't want to, but Nick didn't really. But Tone, like they're Pittsburgh guys. Like, what did he say? He was like, all my life I wanted to do one thing, and again started with the "Here we go Steelers." You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So that was a cool moment for them. You could tell they both got kind of choked up with it, and you just kind of feel that throughout the building. Everybody was like on that, and then they were like, again, not knowing what to expect. They're like, "Oh, we got you a present in it's a big, what did they say? It's a big handsome Texan." And again, I was like, it's fucking JJ. Like, oh my God, they got JJ Watt. Like, they snuck him in. He's up in the suite. Like, it's going to even be a surprise for Pat. Like, somehow, Tone or somebody got a hold of him, was like, hey, you got to show up. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
for the show. And surprise Pat with, or even if wasn't up in the suite, like if he came out from like the stage area. But
Yeah.
the way that they were setting it up, it was, and then they had Parker McCollum come out, which I have learned about through Pat. But also, as you know, my wife being a huge country person, I've heard, so those songs he sang, I knew, like I was like singing along, and I think even Mike looked at me like, what? Like you? I'm like, yeah, we're good. Like I know this. I know me some Parker.
5 Days is a great song.
Dude, it is. And then he did his rendition of what the hell was it? I'm blanking right now.
God.
Whatever. But so that was, because that was kind of like a somber moment. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't, everything was like a celebration. The Jelly Roll concert was a celebration. The Wiz and Snoop celebration style party. Just again, but then you had that kind of somber moment with Parker McCollum, like you said, 365. Like that's a, not a love song, but it's just like
it's a deep song.
Yeah, like a ballad. So that was really cool to have that, because then that was the last performance.
Yes.
And then he went into he did a little bit more about himself a little bit, and then he gave away the 2 million at the end. That was like kind of the last thing.
Right, with his glory hole, and then
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, well, then he was like, can't end the show without bringing out some more Pittsburgh. Like however he said it, like honoring the city or whatever. And then he brings out Ben fucking Roethlisberger, who had that was like a whole WWE entrance, dude. Like that was so crazy.
Dude, actually, fun fact, that's his entrance from when him and the offensive line were in the ring.
Yeah, because they actually talked about that on Ben's pod, on the football on pod.
On football and
Yeah, they talked about that. So yeah, that was funny. And then he brings out Paul Skeens.
dude, even
And then
Paul Skeens had a fucking little Titantron rip too, and I was like,
yeah. But me and Mike noticed it. They had number 33 up there. His number's not 33, it's 30.
it's 30, right?
Yeah, we were like, well, error. Like that's not right.
Well, I
Like,
mean, in all baseball, an error.
yeah. So then he brings out the fucking trio from the Pittsburgh Penguins. So he asked he said, "Hey Ben, you knew Ben was going to throw." Then he was like, "Skeens, you going to throw a ball?" And then he was like, "All right, which one of you? All right, Sid, you're going to throw a ball."
For those
I
that don't
tapped.
know, the trio is Sid, Gino, Malkin, and
Yeah,
Chris Letang.
Chris Letang. Yeah. So he gets Sid to commit to doing it. I don't even think he gave him a choice. He just said, "You're doing it."
Yeah.
And then I looked at both of them and I was like, "Sid's going to be the only one to fucking put that ball through that hole." And they're like, "Get the." I was like, "Watch." And then Skeens goes, missed it twice.
Dude, he
I'm
missed
like,
that fucking first one, and I was like, really, dude?
like,
You're making the Pirates even look worse. Like, don't
well,
do
here's the thing though. One of his pregame warmups, and I think that's why Pat asked him to come out, not because him and Pat are boys too. Because Pat became friends with him when he played in Indianapolis for the Indians last year for the minor leagues. So Pat got to know him. Um, so I think he did it as a friend, but also part of Paul Skeen's warm up in the ballpark before pregame is he throws a football almost the full length of PNC Park. Like he's got a fucking cannon on him. So I think again, he was like, "Hey, you're my boy. Why don't you come on? You know, whatever." And I know you can. Like, I know you can throw a ball. He did not throw that fucking ball.
No, neither time. I was like, God damn.
So that was interesting. And then Sid, whoop, right down the fucking middle. I'm like, told you.
It's why he's a
Told.
fucking goat, bro.
And then they're like, well, I mean, Ben can't miss. Like, Ben can't miss. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, dude, how many times was Ben just trying to go?
he's like, I'm eager.
And
He's
Pat was
like,
like,
oh,
go,
it was a
go,
pump
go,
fake,
go,
pump
go.
fake. He was like, I'm doing a pump fake.
Yeah, he was like, we don't want your damn no damn pump fakes. No damn
Yeah.
pump fakes.
The interaction with him and Ben was pretty cool. I mean,
Dude,
his interaction with all of them, but like him and Ben have like a cool back and forth. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it was him and fucking Gino. It was him and Malkin. Because anytime Malkin said something, he's like, great job. Nice work.
yeah.
Like,
Gino was giving his one word answers. He was like, so he was like, he asked, so when Sid made the throw, he went to Chris Letang and he was like, so did you think he was going to make it? And Chris was like, he's great at everything. Like,
yeah,
there's no
right.
way he was going to miss. Like, he's great at golf. He's great at baseball. He's like, he put one out at PNC Park. Like,
Right.
there's no way he was going to miss that circle. He does everything. And he goes, Gino, did you think he was going to make it? He goes, yep. And he goes, that's when he was like, yep, great job. Good answer. All right, keep it moving. Like, he knew
Keep
that
it
Gino was
moving.
not
Keep
gonna.
it moving.
Yeah, he was not gonna keep Gino talking because we all
No,
know Gino in his English doesn't.
it doesn't quite jive.
No, because he even made a comment when he was talking about each of them. Like when he introduced them, and then he like individually like I don't want to say called them out, but like just a little. He was like, we got Sid. We all know what you did to us, Team Canada, Team USA. I'm still a little bitter. Da da da. He goes, Chris Letang. He was like, you're. He goes, I know you, French Canadian, and he spoke because Pat speaks a little French, so he's had a little French conversation there. And then he goes, Gino, you're just a big. You're a Russian in Pittsburgh. What can we like?
Yeah, right. There was just nothing there. It was like, all right,
Yeah.
whatever.
So, I mean, that was cool to have them out. But then, something happened on Twitter today that I thought was hilarious. And I'm like, I didn't even think of this. So he brings out Ben. I'm like, okay, I get it. One of the more current greatest Steelers. Obviously, we have a history of great Steelers, but more relevant great Steeler. Um, there were two other Steelers there that I'm surprised did not come out on stage. Cam Hayward and Brett Kiesel were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they got all there was pictures of all them. They have a huge picture. Actually, Brett Kiesel posted it of him, Cam, Ben, the three penguins, and Jelly Roll all together.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I would have loved to have been just a fly on the wall in that room. Like
Yeah,
that'd
for
have been
sure,
interesting.
dude.
But then, so that's not what really surprised me. He had Paul Skeens come out. You know, obviously, this kid's gonna have a Hall of Fame career. He's great. We had our Pirates talk episode or two ago. You know what I mean? We went through that. But when you're talking about like Pittsburgh sports legends, I guess you could say, or future Hall of Famers at this point, but where was Kutch?
Yeah, right.
So
He didn't want to be
somebody
in the middle of the sell the team chance.
so somebody on Twitter, there was a photo taken of somebody got a snapshot of all of them on stage with Pat, you know what I mean? Like again when he was like introducing everybody. And somebody made that comment on the photo. It said, Where's Kutch at? And they tagged Kutch in the comment, like at his Twitter. And he replied going, never got an invite. Like
What?
I think he would have went. Like I think that was kind of his like, yeah, like I would have like,
I would have been there.
yeah, like why didn't I get an invite? Like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like why wasn't Kutch like? And
Yeah,
it's not
that's
like
crazy.
Pat doesn't know who he is. Pat talks like when Pat talks pirate baseball, which is few and far between on his show, but like when he does, he always gives Kutch's flowers. Like he's always like, talks about how Kutch is one of the greatest, again, current, more famous pirates. Like, again, I get it, him and Skeens are boys, but I was like, yeah, because I mean, Kutch and Ben are cool, like they're good friends, like.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, there's definitely. I mean, if you got Paul Skeens on the show, I think you could have gotten Kutch. Like, I think about, hey,
Sure.
Skeens, you ask Kutch real quick too if he wants to come. You know what I mean? Like, I think.
Yeah, right.
So I was
Could have
like,
been solid.
that was crazy. Like again, like I didn't think of that until afterwards. I was like, yeah, he. I only had one pot. Like, I mean, granted, he only had one Steeler representative, but it was like, I was like, I mean, I guess I don't know. It was just that was a little side. That was like that's kind of funny.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, that was kind of the show. And then, so he ended the show. He gave that 2 million away. And then I'm thinking, what was the last thing you guys saw on TV? Did you just get to see him with the confetti?
Yes.
So, and then somewhere right at that point, he cut off. I know it ended for you guys, but just like he does on his daily sports show, he always like because like he does 2 hours on ESPN and he always does like an hour, anywhere from an hour to sometimes 2 hours, um, still on YouTube. And he always tells if he has a guest on or whatever, he'll always make the comment, we're still live, we're just not on ESPN anymore. So he kind of did that, but he was like, hey, he was like, we're not live, but we're not done. So there was no more special guests or anything like that, but he had another just moment because I think at that point it hit him like he did it. Like he said, like he's been thinking of this show and wanting to do
Yeah.
this for years, and I think he finally got to the point where it was like this. Even for himself, it was like a pinch me moment. Like this really happened. Like I did it. I fulfilled another item off my bucket list. Like I put together this awesome show back home in my hometown. Like with all these celebrities and guests and my boys and my people. Like so he had a really cool moment on stage with just the crowd. And at that point, too, like a bunch of people had like typical Yinzer fashion, like the crowd started emptying out.
Yeah.
But it was like, because I think because he even made a comment because it was right after he gave the guy won the 2 million. And he kind of knew again at that point the show was over. There was no more prizes or everything. And he was like, well, just because I gave away the last of the money doesn't mean everybody's got to leave. Like he was even kind of, but he was like, yeah, that's true. Yins are fashion.
Yeah, that's true.
But he he had a really cool moment with the crowd that we stayed for. Like, we didn't leave until the stage was empty. Because again, you didn't know what was gonna fucking happen.
Yeah, it's true,
Like,
man.
there could have been, you know what I mean? Like, bands come out afterwards and do like little encores. I'm like, who knows what could happen here? So we hung out for a little while longer and just finished. And again, I don't know if this happened on your guys' feed or not. He is on stage drinking some good old Turners. He was getting fueled by the Turners.
Oh yeah, I saw him with his little carton.
Yeah, he kind of almost like, it was almost like Stone Cold's beer guy. He had like a Turner's guy.
A Turner's guy. I would
There
want
was
a Turner's guy.
there was a dude that was like I don't know what you want to call it, maybe like a WWE, like a roadie type of person or whatever. That was up following him up and down the stage line. Like, you could see, like, being there live, you could see this guy following him. And because, like, again, when he had the moment with the boys, he had a mixed drink in his hand. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the guy was like his go-to, like, get him what he needs. Shit, yeah. So he was, yeah, he had Turners. I was like, well, yeah.
I mean,
So,
you know.
so that was the show. I mean, it was one of the most entertaining things I've seen in a very long time. And that's saying a lot because, what, I guess it's 2 years ago now. Well, coming up to 2 years. We went to Elton John's like farewell tour at PNC Park, and at that time, I thought it was one of the best concerts or shows that I've seen. I don't want to say that McAfee's blew it away, but it was just like, because again, like, going to Elton John, I knew I knew what I wanted to go see. I wanted to hear the hits. I wanted to hear, and see this, farewell tour. But for Pat, like, you didn't know. It was still that element of surprise and of not knowing made it, I think, that much better of a night.
Right.
So it's like, I would go, like, if he said he was coming back and did another one. I don't think he's doing one every year, but like, 2 years ago down, he was like, "Yep, doing another big night out." I'm like, I'll once again be purchasing ticket. Like,
Yeah.
I'll go again, but I wouldn't travel. Like, if he didn't do this in Pittsburgh, I don't think I obviously was not traveling. Like if he did it in Indy,
Yeah.
I wasn't traveling to Indy. Like I said, you could tell that there was people from that came from who knows where
Yeah, for sure.
to see the show, and it was like, yeah, like, I'm not traveling. Like, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan, but I ain't traveling all like that. Like,
Right.
it was just the fact that he did it here that made me want to go even more. Like, so it was definitely a night at, and I told you this off. I'll keep it simple. I we left, fought. I don't want to say we fought the crowd because a lot of it left, but what left of the crowd, we mingled our way through and got outside and was walking back up Fifth Avenue to get to my car and ran into a friend of ours that gave me a cabalsi and a bun and said, "Enjoy your night." And I said, "Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you." And I walked away.
Right.
No, I mean, we bullshitted for a little bit, and then I walked away. But yeah, so I ended my night with the cabalsi in my hand, walking down Fifth Avenue.
Right. Shout out to the fucking Greek because apparently you're somewhere everywhere in that fucking city.
Yeah, yeah. And
But
I was
yeah.
like, I was like, that was a hell of a way to end the night. Like, just like, and then again, it was late, and I'm like, oh shit, like, this went longer than I was expecting, but like, it it was so worth it. Like, it was just it. Like I said, I mean, I think that show was, again, like, worth more than what we paid for tickets. Like,
Absolutely, hands down. Especially with what you were watching, like how it was all unfolding. Yeah. Fuck absolutely.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I've paid more to go see actual. I mean, I don't want to say actual artists. These were actual artists, but you know what I mean, though. Like,
Like a
I've
full
gone to
blown.
a full blown concert. You know what I mean? Like, this wasn't meant to be a concert. This was meant to just be a show.
Yeah.
I mean, because concerts don't got fucking sumo wrestlers.
No, no,
We don't got Boston Connor ass cheeks out.
no, no, dude, that's fucking great.
You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of Tyson. The Tyson Logan or
Yeah,
Paul
the
fight.
Logan Paul fight, yeah, or
Uh,
Jake Paul.
Yeah, Jake Paul. I was like, oh yeah, that was almost like like that. And then I don't know if you could. I think what we saw on the jumbotron was what you guys were seeing at home. So when he was having the moment up with the guys in the suite, and he was talking to AJ, and he was like, "What were you guys talking about?" He goes, "We caught you in a hot mic. You were talking about his junk in the diaper." And he was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." He was like, "Me and Darius were wondering how that guy kept his junk in the diaper thing." And he was like, "I also didn't think I'd see Boston Connor's ass cheeks out on stage." And
And he
again, I don't
finally
know.
showed his ass cheeks.
Yeah, he was behind AJ, so like if you weren't paying attention, you didn't notice it. But if you were, like I was, or obviously you did too, like yeah, Boston turned around with his bare ass still hanging out.
Yeah.
Um, you know, right behind AJ Hawk's head.
Dude, I loved it. That whole
So
show was incredible, bro.
it was an experience. Like it was. I mean, again, it was. It's something that I know I'll definitely be talking about for anybody anytime some do the big night out. Yeah, let me tell you about it. I was there. Like I have.
Yeah.
I think he accomplished his goal. I definitely woke up this morning going, "What happened last night?" And I did not have a drop of alcohol, but I still had that feeling of, "What did I just do? Like, what did I just witness? What is going on?"
Right?
So, yeah, it, it,
That's
it
awesome.
it was interesting. So if you think I don't, I think you might know this or not, but for those, if you're interested and you have Hulu, starting today, it is on Hulu. That you can rewatch the whole show. Plus, he is adding to the Hulu, uh, whatever you want to call it, episode. Um, there's going to be behind the scenes backstage footage and how I think like how the show had come to fruition, like how this all happened.
All right.
So and he said it's not just on there for like, the day or whatever. It's now part of the Hulu library. So it's going to be on there for people to watch. So, because Jane missed out, um, yeah, because obviously she was supposed to go, but they put an age limit. So we're gonna watch that this weekend with her, which will be fun to relive. Um, and then get to see some of this backstage footage. Oh, and I'm gonna tell you this. I guess before we wrap up here, um, I told you there was no merch,
No.
but I'm not gonna tell you what. But I'm just gonna tell you
What?
when I see you next weekend, right?
Yeah, next week.
For Mania.
No.
Oh no, the pick game. That's this weekend.
Yeah.
Um, I may have a small little trinket for you and the missus.
I like trinkets as long as it doesn't go up my ass. I'm fine.
Uh, well then never mind.
Well, I mean, it was fun. At least the thought that counts. Maybe we'll lube it up first.
Yeah, no, I forgot. That's why I'm saying like my weekends. Like this show got me all screwed up.
It's fine, bro.
No, next weekend's Easter. That's what fucking next weekend is.
Yes.
Um, which oh god, I haven't done Easter shopping. That's all again, whole nother story. Not what we're here for. Yeah,
Right.
Pitt football this week. This is my Pitt week. I told you, busy week.
That's right.
Pitt orientation today, Pitt football on Saturday. Which hopefully, again, we'll talk off air, but hopefully we'll get to see you guys. And again, I have a trinket for you and the missus. So yeah, that's my Pat McAfee story of what'll probably be the next year.
Right. But I thank Big E for at least talking with us about the big night at. And we'll catch y'all on the next episode. For Big E, I'm the Big Joe. And this has been fucking great. Later.
Later.